to talk with you about anything that is important to you. Nothing is off limits here. It is our intention to lure you into the vortex, regardless of where you are. That's the advantage that any uplifter has in your experience, to help you find your place wherever you are and help you to redefine and reestablish your relationship with your vortex. And so it's the work that we always do when we are together, isn't it? It's the work that we always do whenever we have an opportunity to visit with you. It's the work that we want you to begin to practice even when you're not in physical proximity with us. You are all around the world again today. It's fun. Jerry is out there somewhere too. It's nice to have this conversation with you. Fun to realize that this vibrational participation is not just global, it's universal. So there are far more of us beaming in on a much faster firewire than you've got going on. What do you want to talk about? So what happens is when things are mostly pretty good, you can get pretty sloppy with your relationship because the stakes aren't that high. In other words, you have a lot of leeway, and so you can endure quite a bit of sloppy thinking or not deliberate thinking because what you're reflecting back is sort of what you're used to maybe. But when you're in a situation where what is really, really, really something that you don't want, you have to do something about changing your relationship with your vortex. And the thing that is so interesting about that is, we said to Esther the other day, notice how whatever's going on in your conversation and in your mind and in your emotions is reflected back to you by every single person you meet. So a string of people came to her reflecting back to her that she wasn't in a very good place. Truly annoying because they should have been better than that. In other words, what's the matter with you? Can't you reflect back to me what I want to hear? Why are you reflecting back to me what I don't want to hear? And after a little while, as she began playing with it, she began to notice that no matter what the condition was, she could find alignment with her vortex. And then the next person who walked through the door reflected back to her something that she wanted to hear. It was the most interesting experience ever to feel the closeness of the relationship with the vortex. And so, while words don't teach, it is only life experience that really gives you your knowing. We want you to leave this gathering here today completely convinced and confident in the reality of your vibrational reality, the reality of your vortex. And we would like it so much if your dominant intent, as it has become Esther's dominant intent, is to be in vibrational proximity to this vortex and aware of her relationship with it and it only forevermore. Because that is the only place that you will ever find the contentment that you reach for, the happiness that you reach for. We've been saying it to you for a while, that your relationship with your vortex is everything. Esther said to Jerry just a few days ago, in fact, they've been talking quite a lot about this. She said, you know, I hate to admit it, but I might as well because Abraham will blab it anyway. I hate to admit it, but I've been depending so much on action that I could garner in order to soothe situations. In other words, something's out of whack. Barbara, this is out of whack. Will you take care of this? Something's out of whack. Karen, this is out of whack. Will you take care of that? I feel better. Somebody's on it. I didn't adjust my vibration. I don't need to. I've got people. I've got people who will take care of it. Mark, my computer isn't behaving the way it is supposed to. Will you come and fix it? Done. I don't have to adjust my vibration. I've got people. I have resources. I have power. I have money. I have the ability to wrestle anything to the ground and kill it. I can complain to Jerry. Something not going well? I'll just complain. I'll just complain to Jerry. And there's something about complaining to another person that just sort of releases it there. Somebody will take care of it. Of course, they can't take care of it very long because you're creating new things faster than they can take care of. So you need a lot of really effective people around you putting out the brush fires that you keep starting everywhere along the way. And it's pretty manageable. It's quite entertaining. You can write books about it even. But then you find yourself, occasionally, in a situation where there's nobody to call. There's nobody to call. You could call them, but they would say, that's above my pay scale. And now, you, if you are to feel joy again, if you are to breathe again, if you are to feel happy again, you have to establish your relationship with your vortex, which is doable under any and all conditions. So after you establish your relationship with your vortex, what happens is, because you have reestablished your relationship with your vortex, your manifestations turn on a dime. Your manifestations reflect your newfound vortexiness. And you begin to discover your true power. Your true power to feel joy, your true power to be who you are. But hear this, friends. Your true power to affect any situation, no matter what it is, and bring it into alignment with what you want. Because there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. You just got to get your legs under you. You just got to understand your relationship with the vortex. And you just got to stop trying to create by controlling things that you can't control, and begin by controlling the only thing you can control, which is your relationship with your vortex, where your perfect life already exists every single time. You see, this is the thing that we want you to understand. All of the answers and all of the process and all the cooperative components and all of the everything that you need is right there already queued up for you. So your goal is to put yourself in the best position for receiving those answers, those inspirations as you can. And the way you do that is by focusing your mind. So how about focusing the question so that it's a sure thing? Could you ask that question in a way that it's a sure thing? What do we mean by a sure thing? A sure thing that you're going to get an answer that's going to feel good to you when you get it. So you're sitting in a room with a doctor, and he's giving you a diagnosis that you don't want to hear. And you know what he thinks. Is that a good time to say, what do you think? Terrible time to say, what do you think? Because he wants to tell you what he thinks. But what he thinks doesn't mean diddly squat, doesn't have anything to do with your vortex, doesn't have anything to do with what you're creating. So to ask him what he thinks, just shoot yourself in the foot. So what do you talk to the doctor about? Got any kids? I thought I heard a dog barking in the background when I was talking to you on the telephone. Do you have dogs? You have a picture of? Could I see the picture of your dogs? You have a busy day today? In other words, stay off the subject if you are pretty sure you're not going to get the answer that you want to hear. And then as the days go by, as you've done your vortex work, he volunteers what you want to hear. You see what we're getting at? Everything is that way. You can control every manifestation. You can control feedback from every person. You can control feedback from the universe. You can control feedback in everything. The universe yields to you not a reality. There are no statistics or reality that mean anything to you. The universe feeds back to you one thing and one thing only. What you want, to the degree that you will allow it. Don't you love knowing this? Aren't you beginning to feel the power of who you are? In other words, you can control everything. There is nothing that is outside your ability to control. And we don't mean control in the wrestle it to the ground sense. We mean control it in the tuning your vibration to the frequency where you can only get back the feedback, the manifestational feedback that you want, you see. So what was your opening question to us? How long will it take? So you want to rephrase it? Since it really doesn't matter how long it takes, since I'm sure that I'm going to eventually get there, my question is, do you agree with me that I'm eventually going to get there?
Do you?
You are not the one exception in all of the universe. Absolutely. In other words, there's no question about it. But the thing is, when you make us give it to you, when you make us give it to you because you want to hear it, no matter what we say, you still don't hear it. In other words, do you know that there is not enough reassurance in the world that can be offered to someone who doesn't believe? And there's not enough negative feedback in the world to keep you from getting anything that you do believe. It's such an exhilarating thing to watch things flip in people. It surprises them to see them not believe something and then witness the dawning of their belief. And goosebumps just come up all over you as you realize, he just got me. He's been basing what he thinks on everybody else he knows, but he just got me in my unique alignment to source and my ability to be or do or have anything that I want. You'll hear much more as we're moving forward. Our favorite day so far with you, because we have been out on the leading edge in a new way. It's interesting how we can have some of the same conversations about vortex, about contrast, about launching desires, about taking the bounce. And then a whole series of people just raise their hand and come forward to punctuate exactly what we're wanting to convey to you about this business of managing your relationship with your vortex. We want you to realize that no matter where you're standing in relationship to what you want is only an emotion away from you. In other words, a very close emotion away from you. Jerry is often asking us, well, Abraham, what do you want? What's in this for you? What do you want? And we've been saying in a variety of different ways that what we want is for you to have conscious realization of what you would call potential that we would call reality. What we want is for your realization of who you really are to come fully into your life moment by moment. We so enjoy watching little ones who are full of themselves, who are not terrorized by a crowd or controlled by a well-meaning lover or a parent, who just have such complete knowledge of their goodness and their rightness and their never-ending potential for joyous expansion, that they just don't take anything that you've got going on very seriously. They just stay in that knowledge of well-being. And what we want is that little by little, you return to that place of knowing where you're not afraid of anything because you understand that you can take it as it comes, and that if something does show up that is unwanted, that there is a way to easily bring it back into alignment. We want your life not to frighten you in its potential, but to call you in its potential. We want you to feel the fullness of your readiness to respond to whatever comes your way. Because the freedom that you seek is the freedom from resistance. It's the only freedom that exists. And when you finally get it, that you can be free of resistance under any and all conditions, and once you align with the energy of who you are, that all things right themselves in terms of manifestation, now you have control of manifestation. It's such an interesting thing to watch. There are so many moving parts and so many things you can't control. So the effort at controlling them just makes you crazy. It makes you crazy and it makes you feel unworthy because you can't control them, and so you can't make things better. But when you begin understanding your relationship with who you were before you came and your relationship with who you have now become, when you understand the vortex and your relationship with the vortex, and you learn to manage your emotions